What you should know before you buy Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred.
Chances
Perra
are
Gaming.
you fall into one of two categories. One, being a dogshit newbie that haven't played the game since launch and are now being force-fed a gazillion fucking ads about D4 rolling out a new expansion.
Who has seen those ads, man? They are even here on Twitch and on YouTube, man. Diablo 4 expansion, 2 days.
And two, being a dogshit newbie that have played the game since launch and are now being force-fed a gazillion fucking ads about D4 rolling out a new expansion.
Duh.
And you have hemorrhoids. Either way, I'm here to
But they look so happy.
guide you through the most important decision of your life. Is this shit game actually worth spending your hard-earned money on?
The most important decision of our lives, boys. Are we gonna spend 40 bucks or nah?
And the answer is, it depends. Let me explain. For starters, let's check out what you're actually getting from buying
you
the
get the kitty.
expansion. For starters, you're going to pay a total of 40 bucks for this. Just ignore the fact that I have the Ultimate Edition in my library. That's just a visual bug. Because if you, for some reason, decide to pay more than 40 bucks, then all you're getting are some cosmetics. Are they cool?
But dude, you're getting the kitty, and it is very well known. You pet the kitty, you get uber uniques. Every time before you kill Duriel, pet the kitty.
Definitely they are. Are they worth
It's
it?
known.
Fuck no. They're cosmetics. With that out of the way, let's see what you're getting if you decide to swipe that credit card and pay 40 bucks.
Dual wielded.
Because there are some
MasterCard,
features
Visa
that are
card.
expansion exclusive and some that are not. That is, the new Spiritborn class along with the new Nahantu zone and everything that is in it. When it comes to the new class, it looks fun. It's basically a mishmash of every class currently in the game, sprinkled on top some monk and witch doctor from D3. And of course,
It's a monk. 2.0 reloaded. But the new class is a ton of fun. I think Spiritborn undoubtedly is the best and most well-designed class that we currently have in Diablo 4. And it really makes some of the other classes not look so good. In fact, we have a poll going on here on YouTube right now. I'm going to put that in the description. And it looks like 74% of you, that's already 3.5k votes. It's just out for an hour. So go vote. Trump 2024 or Kamala. No, vote for your class. Spiritborn, 74%. There is a lot of Spiritborns.
it's being 5 to 10 times more powerful than all the other classes to sell more expansions, obviously.
Go vote, guys. It's a democracy.
But if we're being honest here, the class looks fun. I didn't get to play it myself, thanks Blizz. But talking with a lot of people that did get to play it, it's basically what you want
Thanks,
to play in the
Blizz.
new season, unless you want to cuck yourself. It has 4 spirits that define how you play. Harambe, the human centipede, the jaguar, and a fucking bird. As it currently stands,
The bird. But man, the bird is winning, guys. Quill, volley, eagle, lightning build for the win. Link in the description.
Jaguar and the fucking
Best build
bird
in the game.
looks to be completely broken. And the other classes aren't even close, LMAO. I reckon a lot of people will buy the expansion for this class solely. But at the same time,
Shut up and
the
take
class
my money.
indeed looks to be gimmicky and may not be for everyone. Personally, I'm a bit on the edge on this one. I'll at least pull out my dick for Harambe and go from there. Next up are the new endgame activities, one being the Undercity. There's not a whole lot to say here. It looks to be nothing out of the ordinary. You're running it to target farm, and you're doing it against a timer. So it's basically a whole lot like the other game modes.
But Undercity is extremely rewarding, and I think the significant difference to some of the existing game modes is that you can specifically target farm gear. You can go as far as to say, I want amulets, and those amulets should have passive skill ranks. It's very cool. Or you can say, I want boss materials. Or you can say, I want to get runes. Or I want to get masterwork materials. So it's a very cool way of getting specifically what you want. And I think Undercity is going to be one of the most popular game modes. Because in comparison to the Dark Citadel, it's easy to access and you don't need a group. You see, you can just do this completely solo. And it's very, very rewarding.
But it does look fun for someone that enjoys the game, I will admit that. What is indeed out of the ordinary, though, are the raids. Pretty much everything
this
I've
is
seen and
forced
heard about
group.
these have been highly spoken of, but I do see a problem with this. More on that later though, because first we need to cover what the hell are these
Dude,
raids?
what is he gonna say, man? Like, people are newbies and random groups are gonna be horrible, and in hardcore it's gonna be completely impossible. If you don't have a party.
They're called the Dark Citadel. Here you'll get up to 4 people together. You're tasked to do, well, different tasks. You'll need to do it by working together. For example, splitting up and clearing different alleys or bouncing a ball around. This is for sure something I haven't seen before, and I'm excited to test it out. So what is the problem I see here? Well, you'll need to communicate to do it El Mao. Everyone that has reviewed it is a streamer with
The problem is you need to communicate with other players, man. Impossible.
friends to play with, meaning they can easily hop into Discord and
Wait, we streamers, we have friends? Dang.
start blasting. If this game mode is as difficult as I've heard, then good luck getting some random
not
idiots
gonna
to
be
work
that.
together.
Okay, it is not difficult if you have people to communicate with. But if you are like with random people that are not on voice, that don't know what they're doing, that playing some shit build, that are not playing Spiritborn, it's gonna be tough. For sure.
But at least the game mode looks fun. I'll give them that. I'm just going to assume that it will have a lot of toxicity associated with it. For example, if you screw up...
It's like you're not Spiritborn, you can't join my party. Unlucky. People are actually gonna say that, man. Spiritborn is just that strong.
Playing with me, I'll drop a wet fart in your face. All right, next up are Rune Words. And what the hell are Rune Words? Are those not a feature in Diablo 2 that was absolutely epic? Yeah, well, they're insanely mid in this game, I must say. They were available on the Season 6 PTR, and they were shit. Not shit in the meaning of being weak, more shit in the meaning of being boring as hell. And why is that? For starters, you're able to use 4 of them. 2 of them, however, is only to gain essence for the other 2. These remaining 2 rune words are allowing you to utilize a few skills, which are extremely mid.
I think also with the nerfs to the top rune words and things like Jar not really being viable, you could make an argument of just playing the main stat gems instead of the runes. And you are not gonna have a big power difference. So yeah, if you don't have any runes, like, you don't even feel bad about it, you just use normal gems. So I think the rune words, after all the nerfs, they could use a bit of a power up. In my opinion.
For example, you'll most likely rock Warcry for the damage bonus, which is just a flat damage multiplier. You'll then maybe...
I also feel like they removed like all the interesting stuff. Like Warcry was giving you berserking, which is like a status effect that only the barbarian gets. And I think this off-class things was making it very interesting. So, and then they nerfed all this, so I'm not like really sure like what is there really left. There are still some interesting combinations, but in the end, they are still like very, very bad runes, and I think they still need a lot of buffs, and the system, I guess, is made in a way that they can extend on it, and I hope they will, because I don't think it's in a great spot at the moment with the runes.
Combine it with a defensive rune word,
It's Perra
like
Gaming.
challenging
I'll link it
shout.
below.
So basically, a whole system to gain a bit of damage and damage reduction. So if you were considering buying the expansion, solely due to the reason of rune words making a return, then I'd advise against that. Talking about boosting up your character, you will now have Mercenaries. You'll unlock these running through the Nahantu campaign, which is of course new as well, and I expect that to be great seeing how good the base game campaign was. Either way, Mercenaries seem to be not as fucking useless as in D3. You'll hire one of those bad boys, which will have its own abilities and ways to support you, and you can also choose an additional skill that you want as support. These skills does seem...
So, by the way, what is great about Mercenary, that it's closing the gap between solo and group, because you can get a lot more loot, and you can get 2 Mercenaries when you are alone. So you can farm both of their rapport, and there's a very good Gamba system where you can get items from the Mercenary rapport. So it's extremely advantageous for solo players. And since group players have it so much easier, it's a very good way to kind of at least close this gap between group and solo play. So I think the Mercenaries in this regard are doing a great job.
decent compared to in Diablo 3 at least. But they are by no means insane, rather just decent. For example, movement speed as a buff, which is basically half an affix.
I mean, the Subo map hack is more than decent. It is fantastic, and this only works in solo play. So you get a free map hack. You get to see where all the monsters are, built-in map hack. You get to see where all the ores are, where all the flowers are, and it's amazing.
Or a way to soak up attacks once every 30 seconds. What's strong about them is mainly the skill tree, granting you multiplicative damage or defensives. But Mr. Perra Gaming, isn't this way better than what we got in Season 3? Those pets were kind of a joke? Yes, that is true. I just fucking hate having some dumbass following me around all the time. The incorporation of kittens to collect loot for me was a good update, but mercenaries are probably what I'm the least excited about in the expansion, if I'm being honest. They may prove me wrong as I get used to them, though. We'll see. Next up on...
I really think people will be hyped up about the Subo map hack mercenary. It's amazing. The Seeker.
The agenda is the new season theme. This does look quite fun, actually.
I got a video about
Basically,
that.
you have a gaping asshole walking around in Nahantu. And if you kill the gaping asshole, a new gaping asshole will spawn.
Oh my god.
Enter this gaping asshole and you'll spawn in another... Yeah. In here, you'll blast through it and obtain a buttload of consumables that you can utilize for farming different materials and whatnot. Other than having a new reputation system and a questline that you probably don't care about, this seems to be the main feature of the season. Alright, and those are the features that are expansion exclusive. So then I ask you, my friend, are these worth purchasing the DLC for? You're still not sure? You want my recommendation? Fine. If you find the game fun already and plan to spend more than a few hours in it, then go for it, because you'll get cucked if you don't.
I 100% agree with this. I mean, $40, I think is a very fair price, guys. And before you go crazy, you guys remember Diablo 3, Reaper of Souls? That expansion came out 9 years ago, 10 years ago, I don't know, something like that. And it was also $40. But you know what's happening and what's in the news a lot is the keyword inflation. So usually $40 10 years ago would be like, I don't know, like $60 or something, $70 today. But Blizzard is still selling it for $40. I think the base game and the base price of the game is completely fair. You are getting a lot for it. You're getting, I would even go out like 50 to 100 hours of content and of fun with the mercenaries, the runes, the new storyline, the new region, the new bosses, the new Spiritborn class, the Dark Citadel new endgame, the Undercity new endgame, the season journey, the season rewards. Like, there's a ton of stuff in here, right? If you are a Diablo fan and you like to play Diablo, and you like Diablo 4 on launch, or you liked it before, the game is beautiful, and I think it's worth $40. I mean, definitely for me. Like, if you think like 50 hours, $40, I think that's a fair deal. And I think most games nowadays cost more than $40. So I think $40 is a good price performance ratio for the game. You're gonna get, I think you're gonna get your money's worth.
You'll have Helltides spawning in Nahantu. You have Renown that you need for skill points.
And they didn't do any of this bullshit where you, I don't know, like pay an extra $40
HF in S6
to get like, yeah, have fun, man, exactly. But they didn't do any of this bullshit where you have like early access, you know, play like 3 days earlier and then get to keep your progress and stuff. They didn't do any of this. I think they did it in World of Warcraft and it like didn't like go well with the community, and that makes sense. So there's none of this like, you know, early access, like keep all your progress, keep all your progression bullshit. Like everybody is starting at level 1 on October 7th here on Monday, guys, in a few hours.
Points and paragons, and you do get new game modes that will be fun. Oh, and the new class is going to be so broken compared to the other classes that they are all going to feel like shit in comparison.
And this is a problem, though. I think Spiritborn needs to be strong. I think Spiritborn should be strong. But right now, it looks like Spiritborn literally has an extra 0 in comparison to all the other classes. I like that the new class is strong. It should be strong. It would not sell well if it wasn't strong. But it is so strong because Blizzard nerfed like all the other top builds. You know, we had the Lightning Spear Sorcerer, we had the Whirlwind Barb, we had the Whirlwind Victimize Spin to Win Rogue, we had, you know, a ton of, on the Druid, we had Landslide, we had like a ton of top builds, and then there's Spiritborn up here, and then they nerfed these builds like down to here, so now the gap is insane. And I think the gap is, in my opinion, a little bit too much in terms of class balance. And I'm not saying nerf Spiritborn. I'm saying don't nerf like all the other fun builds, like Lightning Spear, Whirlwind Barb, Whirlwind Rogue. Like, why nerf those, you know? That's my opinion about it, though. I think Spiritborn, okay, is fine if it's the strongest class, but it shouldn't be the strongest class by a 10x margin.
Now, if you haven't played the game since launch and are thinking about making a return, see this video and think to yourself, hey, this guy is pretty negative about the game, maybe I shouldn't buy the expansion. Then that is completely fair.
Yeah, Ball Lightning,
and
Hoda,
to you,
Shred.
I present you with another option.
There was many top builds, man, that just don't exist today. Like, did you try to play Ball Lightning recently, or Hoda Barb, or even Minions? I mean, they buffed Minions a bit, but still, Season 4 Minions?
The standard edition. You will get cucked, but you can experience every update that has been since the base launch. And if you haven't been keeping notes on what's been going on in the game, then let me tell you that it's been completely reworked. Because let's face it, apart from the gameplay, the game was pretty dog shit at launch. And apparently it's now even worse according to IGN. Without the expansion, you can play to level...
I mean, Diablo 4 for the first 50 hours was really good on launch. And then until people reached the end game, that's when I think that they saw that it doesn't really have much of an end game. They have improved on this, but I still think it's an issue. The end game, even with T4, like if you're playing like a meta build, like there could still be more end game. Even with the Dark Citadel, even with the Undercity, there is more end game, but I still don't really feel like it's enough end game. Me personally. But yeah.
Apparently, it's now even worse.
I think the game is still moving in a good direction. We're getting more and more endgame content, and we're getting more and more stuff for the real endgame.
According to IGN, without the expansion, you can play to level 60, start grinding the pit and shit to gear up, and try most of the game out with all of the changes. If you like it, you can just buy the expansion, speedrun the campaign, and do the new shit in Nahantu. That's what I would have done if I didn't already pre-order the Ultimate Edition. And if you don't have the Standard Edition either, then you can start there, I guess. The base game is finally in a great spot and is where it should have been at launch. And for all the demented boomers and newcomers to the channel, let's take a look at what has been added to the game over the seasons, shall we?
Thanks, man.
No,
I do.
You don't want to do that?
2 days left.
You want to drop a fucking sub first? Fine.
Sub to Perra Gaming.
Starting us off,
What a guy.
the biggest change so far, in my opinion, is that to the itemization. While waking up in the middle of the night in high fever and drenching in sweat may be symptoms of Hodgkin lymphoma, they are also symptoms of scrolling through a gazillion fucking yellow gear equipment. Fortunately, though, this is no longer the case. You now have legendary gear and ancestral gear in the endgame tiers. Funnily enough, Blizz tried to make legendary gear into the new rare items during the Season 6 PTR, which was probably the dumbest decision they could have made, especially considering it's completely impossible getting ancestral amulets with skill ranks on it. But due to the
But it is not now. You can target from them.
most amazing YouTubers in the universe, me included obviously, which remind you still didn't get invited to play the fucking expansion. Thanks again, Blizz. These changes were mainly reverted. Legendary items are still dog shit, but usable. What you're after, though, are the ancestral items, which are the same as greater affix gear on this old character. You then craft those bad boys up via tempering, which allows you to add some
I mean, it definitely is going to feel bad for Eternal players, because all your existing gear is essentially worthless. But for people, I mean, 99% of people that start the season fresh, it's not gonna be an issue in this turf, in this sense, because you're just gonna find new gear anyways.
Good affixes to the gear and masterwork it, which is basically the same as just upgrading them. And that, my friends, is how you get an itemization system that isn't complete trash. Well done. On top of that, in the same season as this was introduced, we also got the Pit. Some people call this part of Diablo 4's History Season 4, but I call it the start of the Blizzard Redemption arc, because the Pit is great.
Season 4 was really
All you do in here is run around and kill a bunch of enemies until you've killed enough of them to spawn a boss, which you also kill. In Season 4 and Season 5, the boss was painful to kill though, due to the humongous amounts of HP and bullshit mechanics. Despite this, it has been my main and favorite activity in D4, and the health is now nerfed. Pretty damn nice.
Yep.
Blizz also moved glyph experience.
They also rebalanced the entire system. 129 is gonna be like the new Pit 70, and it's gonna be like very, very tough to clear 129.
Into the Pit, so you won't have to run those disgusting nightmare dungeons any longer. They were fun for 1 or 2 seasons, but holy shit, am I glad they changed that by now. Nicely done. If you still enjoy them, then they are used for masterworking materials, but I reckon most will run the Infernal Hordes for that, which came in Season 5. And the best season so far, though, has to be Season 5, because that's when the Infernal Hordes were introduced. These are great.
And by the way, this is just big props to the PTR stuff again, because the Infernal Hordes, when they came to the PTR, to the test server, like, you can't sugarcoat it, they were shit. They were really bad. And players like us, you guys, everybody gave a lot of feedback, and they actually transformed it into a cool to play feature. It's fun, and it's also very, very rewarding. But man, in the beginning, it was nothing of those things. Not even close.
They may not look much to the world, but they basically work by you standing in here. You'll then get swarmed by demons. A fuckton of them. Your only job in here is to kill them and follow a guide telling you which buffs to use for maximum ether,
Hellborn.
which is basically a currency that you'll use at the end of the Infernal Horde. Here's a funny story. If you followed D4 for a while, then these were introduced in a PTR for Season 5. And they were so goddamn shit
Yep,
that I was considering skipping the season altogether.
Oh man.
But after the PTR, they turned it around and made it one of my favorite features in D4.
That's right.
I'm still not all too excited about the expansion, but I'm so goddamn addicted to running these hordes in the Pit that this is probably where I'm going to spend most of my time, if I'm being honest, unless I, for some reason, get addicted to the new features for some reason.
I think the Undercity is going to be...
Along with introducing all of these lovely...
I think in general the Undercity is going to be where most people will spend their time. Because you can get everything there and you can target farm. It's very nice. And you can also get boss materials to then get mythic uniques. So I think in the Undercity you pretty much get everything. And there's like a lot of variety in there. With the different ways to use it.
The game has also been getting quality of life features. A lot of them. But there is one that goes beyond all others. If you've played the game a lot, you know what I'm talking about. Fuck yes, the Codex of Power. Every aspect has moved here. Remember the times of storing all of your legendary gear?
But we still don't have an armory. And it doesn't look like we're gonna get an armory in 2024. We have to wait until next year to get the armory. They're working on it, but it's not ready. And they better wait, because we don't want any armory eating items like in Diablo 3, or we don't want some people in some other countries, or maybe also in this country, duping items again for the 6th season in a row. So they better make this right with the armory, man, or there's gonna be duped items with that, man. You gotta be very careful.
Just to use them as aspects later on? Yeah, I'm glad that is no longer the case. I honestly have no clue how the previous system even got into the game to start with.
Some countries in the East?
Because anyone playing the game for more than 10 hours would have had a full stash space. It was so bad that you had to make old characters and fill them with gear just so you could clear out your stash.
Old characters? I got a second account just like 20-something years ago in Diablo 2 to make mule accounts and mule characters, because there is no stash space in this game. And at the moment, it looks like they still can't add stash space because everybody is still loading everybody's stash space. So what they're doing is they're giving us more character slots, which is good, but it doesn't really fix the problem of, like, we need at least double stash space, in my opinion. If you want to play like more than one class, stash space becomes a really big issue. And in Diablo 2, man, I remember I had like a file, like an editor file or Word file, where I had like 10 different account credentials with all the mule characters and all the items that are on the mule characters. And I mean, we're in 2024. It's almost 2025. We still don't have a solution to this. Man.
Space. Yikers. Other than the stash tab, though, the biggest complaint I saw was that
there's still definitely like problems that they can fix, especially on quality of life. And I don't really think it's rocket science to fix these problems.
Existing no endgame. I've already talked about all the new endgame activities coming, but just so you are aware, there are also 2 massive improvements to the game, that being Helltides and Uber bosses. Helltides now are just simply fun. There's no denying it. They are fucking epic. Demons everywhere, spawning all over the place, and lots of things to do. If the pit or itemization changes wasn't the best update yet, then Helltides definitely were. And for the Uber bosses, you may remember the times of Season 2 or Season 3 where you had to run them hundreds of times to gain an Uber unique. Well, no more of that. If you actually play the game, then you are going to get Uber uniques. I can promise you that, because all the bosses that you are running are tormented, meaning they have 10 times the life of what they previously had, and they drop a buttload of more loot. So that update is a massive W for the game, that's for sure. And finally, you may be wondering about 2 of the most requested features in the game, the armory and an auction house. The former is supposedly coming soon, the latter is not. Alright friends, that's all I have for now. So to summarize, buy the expansion or don't. I don't really give a shit.
Yeah, a good video here from Perra Gaming. I like it. What he said about the uniques, by the way, you're gonna get a guaranteed unique because you can now actually craft these uniques. There's basically like unique crafting in the game now. So you can just basically, for 2 sparks, you can get an Uber unique together with the rune. So I think it's gonna be fantastic. But yeah, guys, I think the game is worth buying for 40 bucks. If you like Diablo, you're gonna get 50 to 100 hours, maybe even more, you know, if you like the end game fun out of it. But yeah, check out Perra Gaming. I like the video here. I'll see you soon. GG. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe, leave a like or a comment. I'm also live on Twitch almost every day, so come and say hi.